start? Okay. Okay. You guys. Okay. 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 Yes. Yes. We just want to say a pleasant good morning to everyone, especially our media houses representing from the various media houses. This morning is a very important morning for us as members and supporters of the United Workers' Party. And what brings us here this morning is very troubling. Troubling in the sense of our democratic values here in this country and a government that seems to not want to adhere to the values and principles of democracy. What is happening here in this country must be taken very seriously, not just by you and me, but the entire populace here in St. Lucia. There was something called the Cold War, which started in 1945 and ended in 1991. It was a period where there was a number of proxy wars between persons or countries aligned to the Soviet ideology of communism versus the US, Canada, England, France, and so forth, fighting to maintain democratic principles throughout the country and ensuring that the people's rights were protected within their territories, individual territories. Over in St. Lucia, we find ourselves, unlike what the Prime Minister has said, we're in the West Indies, the Caribbean. We're not in Eastern Europe. So we have a situation where I personally believe that the Labour Party still believes that perhaps St. Lucia is in Eastern Europe and that we are still in the period of the Cold War, which lasted from 1945 to 1991, where the rights of citizens was violated. You did not have a political voice because they were the government of the day in Eastern Europe, and that they could rule with impunity, which is what has happened. But then again, don't be fooled. The Labour Party itself has had a tradition of disrespect for democratic principles. The Labour Party has had a history of violence that has emanated from the Labour Party. We saw that throughout the 1951, from 1951 they were formed. By the time we got to 1974, 70, 75, 76, up to 79, everything started to change. They were communists in their mind. They were dictators in their mind. Elections was of no value to them. They had to make sure that they allow citizens to suffer, because if you do not follow the Labour Party's rule of violence and disrespect, then that automatically means that you have to be punished, that's how Labour has always behaved over the period of years. And so don't be surprised by what you see now. What you see now are just the babies of the 1960s and the 70s coming of age and embracing what is theirs, which is vieux nègre. That's what they've always been, vieux nègre. Not gentlemen. They have no respect for the ordinary person who may have an ideology or thinking or difference of opinion. What happened to the days when we had in Parliament a speaker who was fair even if he may be on the opposite side or on the government side, but respected persons. And so we see a departure from where persons like our speaker Daniel, St. Clair Daniel, this was a man. This was a real speaker. This was somebody of integrity. But what we see here right now is a vagabond taken off the streets, who believes in his mind that he is a lawyer, who believes and is / judge. And so in his mind, he understands the St. Lucian Constitution, and he understands how to punish and disrespect people, which is what is happening here. But I want to say something this morning. The UWP is not dead. And since the United Workers' Party is not dead, the Labour Party must expect resistance from us as United Workers' Party. No longer are we they're going to slap and turn the other cheek. No longer are they going to spit and we keep walking. I am saying to them, we did not start this war, but we will not end this war until there is order here in this house and order in this country. And so if they want to remain in office for any time close to the next 3 years, they better start having respect for the United Workers' Party and for our leader, Alan Shastney. We will not tolerate this crap. We will not tolerate this nonsense. And I will say to them also, not only will the resistance come from the United Workers' Party, it will come from the ordinary citizen of this country who is tired of all the nonsense. We elected a government, not we, I didn't vote for them, so I'll take myself out of that. But the people of St. Lucia voted for a Labour Party or a government that they thought would come to create jobs, provide opportunities for young people, the elderly, continue on the good work that the United Workers' Party had done in terms of the infrastructural development of this country. But instead of going along the way of taking care of the same people they claim they wanted to put first, they're trampling on the opportunity for upward mobility. And how do you live in a country? Who lives in a country where you have a government that seems to be out of touch with the common man, out of touch with the realities of what is happening here in our country? I must say to you, the Labour Party coined the poor Malay. But no, United Workers' Party, from Sir John Compton of 65 down to Alan Shastney in 2016 and right now in 2023, have seen an opportunity where we can move those people from Malay into becoming productive citizens and owning their own home. We know in this country, you would ask the average St. Lucian, you would ask the average young person, what is the St. Lucian dream? They cannot define what the St. Lucian dream is all about, because the St. Lucian dream does not exist under this government. And so you cannot be in power for the last 20 years out of 25 years, but expected Alan Shastney in 5 years, 2.5 he ruled, and 2.5 he attended to COVID, to do what you couldn't well do in the last 15 years, and now your 20th year since you've been in office in the last 25 years. Are you following me?
Yes.
Right. So basically, it is unfair. It is unfair to make it look like Alan Shastney is responsible for all the woes and pains of this country when you've been in office for 20 years and could not help and move this country forward. Labour Party has been in office for so long. Look at them, relics of the past. Kenny Anthony, a relic of the past. Philip Pierre, a relic of the past. A whole bunch of fellows that should not be in politics at all. If you look at the constituencies, if you look at what they have done for this country, they've kept you behind, St. Lucians. They've kept you behind. And all they do is, within the circus of the St. Lucia Labour Party, this is how they operate. There is a pool. And in that pool, at that table, are the ministers, their friends, their jabals, girlfriends. If they're going the other way, they have their men there too. You know? And I'll be honest, they will eat and eat and eat until their belly is about to burst. And what happens? The leftover, the crumbs, trickles down to their foot soldiers. By the time it gets to the foot soldiers, there is not enough for the Malawi who is in the third tier to eat anything out of that. And I want you to understand that this is how the Labour Party has ruled and operate. And that's why the time is coming very soon when we must send them back to opposition, because this is where they truly belong, in opposition, not at the helm of our government. And finally, I will say that United Workers' Party has had a history, a proud history, a history with substance of developing this country, bringing roads and electrification to every valley, to every mountain top, to every rural area of this country. We build this country, and the time has come for us to take back the responsibility of continuing the development of this country. Thank you very much.
Pleasant good morning to all St. Lucians at home and abroad, to our wonderful supporters who are in house this morning, members of the media, the head table. Good morning, everyone. Tuesday of this week, Tuesday, May 4th, was a very sad day in the political history of St. Lucia. Very, very sad day. And what we witnessed as St. Lucians on May 4th of this week was an assault on our democracy.
Yes, yes.
It was an assault by a group of vengeful, a group of wicked, a group of evil, a group of arrogant men and women of the St. Lucia Labour Party, led by Prime Minister Honorable Philip J. Pierre.
Yes, yes.
And this group of men and women, in the deliberate attempt on attacking our political leader and leader of the opposition, are aided by a Speaker of the House who has shown his clear biasness towards the opposition, and particularly our political leader and leader of the opposition. It is very personal what the Speaker of the House is doing in the House of Assembly against our leader of the opposition. St. Lucians, we all must condemn this behavior, this level of arrogance by the Labour Party. The Labour Party believes that their supermajority of 15-2 emboldens them to govern with impunity. And therefore, they will suppress our fundamental constitutional right of freedom of expression, especially in the Parliament of St. Lucia, where the people of Mikud South have elected and sent Alan Chasney as their representative in the House of Assembly. And we, the people of the United Workers' Party, have resoundingly re-elected him as our political leader and the leader of the opposition in the House. And so today, as a senator in the upper house, we have decided to boycott the sitting of the Senate. To boycott the sitting in the Senate to show solidarity with our political leader, our leader of the opposition, because what affects the lower house also affects the upper house, the Senate. And if they feel so emboldened, so empowered to attack and suppress our freedom of expression by our leader of opposition in the lower house, who knows when they will attack us in the upper house in the Senate. And therefore, we stand toe-to-toe with our political leader in this fight against the St. Lucia Labour Party. Our political leader, our leader of the opposition, was simply bringing forth to you, the people of St. Lucia, making you aware of a particular sale of sale assets at Banans, a sale which we, the opposition, and many St. Lucians can say clearly that they smell corruption in the sale of this property. Because you cannot tell me, you cannot tell us St. Lucians that a property, a piece of land, was valued at $6.5 million in 2013. And 10 years, the same parcel of land, the same acreage, is valued at $3.5 million. When we all know that land appreciates in value. And it is prime property real estate on your cruise port. The political leader, the leader of opposition, came with documents to show that the valuation was done in 2013 by a registered valuation surveyor. But no, the Speaker of the House, his personal grudges against the political leader of the opposition, will not accept it. And you are demanding an apology from the leader of the opposition. Why does he have to apologize for speaking the truth? Why does he have to apologize for enlightening the people of St. Lucia? If anybody needs to apologize, it is the Speaker of the House and the government for facilitating and enabling the Minister of Housing to get away with so many utterances. I have to ask myself, how many slaps did the Speaker of the House got on Friday night for him to have reacted the way he reacted on Tuesday? How many slaps did he got to rule this way? Ladies and gentlemen, our democracy in St. Lucia is on the fret. And we St. Lucians have to rise to the occasion. We have to come strong message to this government, because this is a government size or say anything negative against them. And we cannot continue like this. We have to tell the Labour Party that this is a sovereign, democratic country, and our freedoms of speech, freedoms of expression will not be suppressed by them at any time. And as we speak here today, they are in the Senate. They are in the Senate approving an appropriation bill with more taxes on the backs of you, the people of St. Lucia. They are going to make life even more difficult for you, the people. They are putting an additional 2.5% tax, which these guys as a health and security tax. It's not a health and security tax. You have brought the VAT back to 15%. And this is going to make life more difficult. Everything is going to get even more expensive than what it is already on the shelves of our supermarkets. We need to come together. We need to bind together St. Lucians, United Workers' Party supporters and members, to ensure that the reign of this government comes to an end sooner than later. Because if not, our children, our grandchildren are the ones who are going to pay the price for us sitting by and doing nothing to put an end to the reigns of the St. Lucia Labour Party. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a clarion call for us to wake up. Wake up, smell the coffee, because our democratic rights and freedoms have been trampled upon by the Labour Party, and we should not allow this to continue. We need to rise to the occasion and do what it takes to get Philip J. Pierre, the Speaker of the House, and the entire Labour cabal out of the governance of this country. I thank you.
Welcome to members of the media. What has happened in Parliament over the past few days is a monumental travesty. That if not arrested, can crush the very fabric of our democracy.
Yeah.
And so, I am here today to join my two colleagues, Senator Herod Stanislas and Senator Ferropolius, whom have taken a collective decision not to be part of this major attack on our democracy. And we are here to signal our voices very loud that we are boycotting the Senate today. Some may want to suggest that this is just a partisan exercise. Some may want to suggest that we are being political. But there is too much at stake. The St. Lucia Labour Party must understand that when they silence the leader of the main opposition, they're silencing 37,000 people who voted for him in the last general elections. And so it's on behalf of those 37,000 people who voted for the United Workers' Party that we stand here to represent. We stand here to ensure that their rights and their privileges and the freedom of speech allowed for in the Constitution is not trampled upon by this despotic government. And so it's clear to all that that democracy is under threat, that our Constitution is being attacked, and that, more importantly, the United Workers' Party is being attacked. And we will not stand up and allow this to happen anymore. And so you can have your Senate session by yourself. Because whether we are there or not, the eyes will always have it. And so the Labour Party is meeting right now, and the Senate session is being presided by Senator Alvina Reynolds, the president. I want to tell you that the president, who gets a lot of her coaching from the speaker, is just like the teacher.
Yes.
And I'll share with you very personal scenarios that I myself have had in this very biased dispensation of our parliament. I remember very well in a sitting not too long ago where I said that outside a pandemic or a natural disaster, that the 505 million which the Labour Party had planned to borrow was the highest by any government in history. The President of the Senate then acceded to a point of order from one of the government senators who said that I should prove what I said. I indicated to the President that the estimates and revenues of expenditures had already been made a document of the House, and I wasn't obligated to make that document already a document in the government's own budget, and that the 505 was indeed correct. I said, but Madam President, while we're at it, why don't you also ask the government senator to prove what I have said is wrong? So it's my word versus the SLP senator's word. The president said to me that if I am going to continue along that vein, that I should sit down. Now, the only reason I sat down then was because the next bill that was coming was a financial bill. And I knew that I would have had the opportunity to be able to raise the matter then. And truth be told, I told the president said to me that if indeed that I'm able to prove subsequently that the 505 was indeed in the estimates, that she would apologize. Madam President, I went down into the library. I printed and copied the summary page of the estimates of revenues and expenditure. I made it a document of the House, and I am still waiting for your apology. I am not going to take this anymore. I am not going to be part of this biased parliament. That's why we are here today. And so, here we are, a small country, and the citadel of our democracy is under attack. The supreme decision-making body, our parliament, which really gives voice to all of you, every single citizen in St. Lucia, who are listening to various members to hear various point of views so that you can make up your own minds and form your own judgments about various policy issues that are coming out of the chamber. And today, you're being robbed of that opportunity because of very small, myopic, negative, political, and partisan approaches from the St. Lucia Labour Party. And so, this is a very sad moment. I don't come here with any glee or enthusiasm, because really, our parliament is an important institution. Our parliament is crucial to the evolution of our society, to transform it from a developing society into a world-class society. Our parliament is where ideas should be contested. Now, let's get to the definition of corruption. The view of corruption, or how you define corruption, is very, very broad. Very broad. And so if a member, or any member, in this case the leader of the opposition, sees that a certain act is a corrupt act, then how do you judge, based on various definitions, that this act is not corrupt? Let's examine the facts of this matter. Here is a piece of land in perhaps the most sacred piece of St. Lucia, in the capital of your city, in your cruise harbor, which is a hub for tourism. The piece of land 10 years ago is then evaluated at a certain amount of money. Today, while your residential property, my residential property, regardless of which part of St. Lucia we are, farmland, and all kinds of land in all areas, the value continues to climb. But only in this instance, the Labour Party would like us to believe that the land in the Castries Harbour has lost over 50% in value? I mean, really? Is that what you would like us to believe? And so we are here to say to the government, we are much smarter than that. Enough is enough. When you do not give other people the opportunity to benefit from what could only be described as a sweetheart deal, then you are corrupt. And I'm saying it in the open media. I'm saying it in the open media. You can take legal action if you require. Then, to me, I define that as corruption.
Yes.
And then who are you selling the land to? What is your relationship, financial, political, and otherwise, with the individual that you are selling the land to? It raises a very important question. Is this in an effort to repay political debt to a financier? It raises the question. And so, in a democratic country, for us to transparency at the highest level, the opposition must ask questions. If we do not ask the questions, then we are not doing our jobs. And that is why parliaments exist. Parliaments exist so that the voices of people of different political persuasions can be expressed in an open, transparent, democratic, and respectful manner. And Mr. Speaker, you single-handedly are crumbling the very fabric of our democracy.
Yes.
And so, Mr. Speaker, with all due respect to you, with all due respect, and with the greatest amount of respect, I believe that you should resign, in my view. You have shown on more than one occasion that you lack the ability to be objective. You have been the former vice chairman of the St. Lucia Labour Party. And so you have been a main voice for many, many, many years, speaking in favor and advocating for the political aspirations of the St. Lucia Labour Party. You have not shown the public of St. Lucia that you are able to be objective and to remove yourself from the political relationship which you have with the ruling party of the day. And so, whilst there's always going to be the potential for conflict of interest, but in this case, there is not just a potential. A court order agrees with me that your rulings have been unconstitutional, that your rulings have been undemocratic, and your rulings have been null and void if we apply the basic principles of parliamentary democracy. Mr. Speaker, please resign. I thank you.
Members of the media, good day. We are here today because democracy in St. Lucia is under attack. What is happening here right now is not about Alan Chasney. It's about our democracy. It's about our freedom. And when a government goes to length to try to silence the opposition, we, the people in this country, have to take heed. We must take note. And so I'm here to say that the clear, indisputable bias of the Speaker of the House of Assembly was on display on Tuesday. We as a people must take a stand and say that we do not only resent that kind of behavior, but we are going to oppose it with every fiber in our body. And so when you look at what happened in terms of the biasness of the Speaker of the House of Assembly, we know he was appointed by the Prime Minister, the St. Lucia Labour Party. But of course, upon assuming the position of Speaker, you must divorce yourself from your political bias and at least appear to be fair, and not discriminatory. Let us examine what happened on the Friday leading up to Tuesday. The leader of the opposition made his presentation on the debate related to the budget. After he completed his presentation, the member for Castries Central, Richard Frederick, came huffing and puffing, and insisted that he wanted to move a point of order. Now, let us observe what happens generally. Normally, while a member is on his feet making a presentation, if another member deems that that member has run afoul of the rules and the standing orders, he will stand on a point of order and point out where the member violates the rules. But the leader of the opposition had completed his presentation, and the member for Castries Central was allowed to move the point of order. That in itself is an irregularity. Subsequently, the Speaker of the House, after upholding that point of order, indicated to the leader of the opposition that he was mandating that he be present on Tuesday to defend his statement and to provide, to substantiate what he had said. The leader of the opposition decided to take leave to depart. And I'm sure you saw for yourself, he was illegally detained. The Speaker of the House insisted that he had to stay. And when he did not comply, he ordered the officer to stop him and bring him back. Now, that is an abuse of power. That is an abuse of authority. The Speaker of the House has the authority to ask someone to leave the chamber, but you cannot prevent someone from leaving. And so that is one matter of abuse of authority. The next thing is, by his own admission, the Speaker of the House admitted that it is the members of government who have to provide evidence and proof that an assertion made by a member of the opposition is not true.
That's right.
Okay? But on Tuesday, he insisted that the leader of the opposition had not proven his case. However, let's look at what happened on Friday. On Friday, given that irregularity when Richard Frederick was allowed to move a point of order, the point of order stated by Richard Frederick was that the leader of the opposition was dishonest. What he had said was not true. By Tuesday, the Speaker had moved another point of order and said that the leader of the opposition had to prove that what happened, the sale of the land was corrupt. Now that's two totally different matters. To prove that what he was saying was not true is one thing. To prove that there was corruption in the sale of land is another matter. So there, again, you find the irregularity and inconsistency because of the interference of a Speaker of the House who is overzealous in his eagerness to be one-sided and biased. Okay? And so these are things that we cannot take for granted. We cannot allow to continue, because when we do check ourselves, at the end of the day, we will not have democracy in this country. So when the Honorable Alan Chasney is not allowed to speak, when the Honorable Alan Chasney is attacked not only by MPs of the opposition, of the other side, but by the Speaker as well, when he is forced not to participate in the activities of the House, we, the people of St. Lucia, are being silenced. We, the people of St. Lucia, are having a dictatorship imposed upon us, and we have to be very careful that our rights and freedom will not just disappear as a result of tolerating such actions. And so I say that we as a party want to make it absolutely abundantly clear that that is intolerable and unacceptable, and we will not stand for it. And if the Speaker of the House wants to see protest action, we are prepared to go to the full length to make our voices be heard and let him understand where power truly lies. You know. And so today, I'm very uncomfortable with what I am seeing in this country. The abuse of authority that is taking place. Already, the government has 15 members of parliament. But apparently, they require an additional one, so the Speaker is going to play the role of a member as well. So we must ensure that we send a strong message to the Parliament and to the Speaker of the House that such behavior, such unacceptable behavior will not be tolerated by the United Workers' Party. And so when we raise issues that are pertinent to the interests of St. Lucians, and this is the same party, you know, that spoke about patrimony and all that kind of thing when it came to Cabot and when it came to other investments. Today, the sale of a land has taken place that has raised eyebrows, and the opposition, rightfully so, is raising questions, asking for explanations, and they are taking offense to such an extent that they want to silence the opposition. That will not happen. And so, talking about corruption, the Speaker felt that perhaps in his presentation, the leader of the opposition might prove that the member for Castries Central, Honorable Richard Frederick, was being dishonest. he felt it would have been more difficult to prove that there was corruption. But I can say to you now that corruption comes in different forms. Dishonesty is a form of corruption. Dishonesty is a form of corruption. And so when the member for Castries Central, the Minister of Planning, tries to make us believe that the parcel of land in question was divided, and as a result, that was responsible for the decrease in price, that is not entirely true. And let me just say this. People lie in different ways. You can lie, blatantly tell an untruth. You can tell a half-truth. And you can lie by omission, by leaving out information. Okay? He left out some vital information, and he also told some half-truths. Yes, the land was subdivided, but by how much? Okay? Was the amount taken from the parcel of land, the Form 51, sufficient to reduce the value of 50 to that extent? And so these are the questions we are wondering. So it's obvious and blatant that there is something wrong, and there are questions to be asked about that transaction. And let me just say this. There are many other St. Lucians who are complicit in that transaction that took place that we are overlooking. A former Prime Minister in the name of Mikey Pilgrim is currently the chairman of the Housing Authority. Okay? And he in the past presented himself as a paragon of virtue, a man of principle. Okay? I want to hear Mikey Pilgrim come out and explain to us how he could be part of a transaction such as this. And he cannot deny his involvement because the minister himself made it clear that the board had everything to do with that transaction. And Mr. John Peters, another gentleman who I've had very high regard for, and who has found it convenient to pontificate on many national issues, I want to hear his voice as deputy chairman of that board as well. Come out and say, what is the situation? Of course, when we talk about corruption, colluding, dishonesty, unethical behavior, all of that can be categorized as corruption. So when you, insider trading and all of that, so when you have your quantity surveyor as one of your potential candidates for your party, a former senator of your party, okay, he is the one determining the value of that property. Isn't it reasonable for us to raise eyebrows and ask questions?
That's right. That's right.
And so there is a lot of questions to be asked, and there are lots of questions to be answered. And it is incumbent on our government to come forth with the answers, and we are demanding those answers. And so I say to you now that your leader of the opposition was doing his job. That is what we expect of him. That is what he is mandated to do as leader of the opposition, to ask the pertinent questions, even when they are uncomfortable to the government. And so we want to encourage the leader of the opposition and let him know that he does not stand alone. Okay. That we are behind him, and we give full support to his effort to ensure that we have democracy, accountability, and good governance in this country. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I do not know how this will unfold, but I know that we have a big part to play in whatever transpires following what happened on Tuesday. And so, I look forward to the leader of the opposition resuming his place in the House, and that the Speaker of the House be penalized for his inappropriate behavior on Tuesday and on Friday. And talking of apologies, the Speaker of the House owes us an apology for his behavior. For his behavior in perpetuating irregularities in the House, for his behavior for blatantly breaking the laws of St. Lucia by detaining people. I thought I was the kidnapper. But for, in plain view, in the House of Assembly, live on television, For the speaker to kidnap our political leader, I thought that was very interesting. So the people who were on the St. Lucia Labour Party platform calling me a kidnapper, I asked them, how do they call that? And so we must take these things very seriously, and we must not allow the St. Lucia Labour Party to get away with it. I've been told from the time I was a child, you give them an inch, they will take a mile. Thank you very much.
But I'm the last. Flower warriors, you are warriors. This is what we are, warriors. And what we have seen is the new face of the United Workers' Party. And the St. Lucia Labour Party is intimidated by that, because they realize that we no longer will remain silent. So despite the huffing and the puffing, as Montut indicated, they will not blow down the house of the United Workers' Party. They won't, because the foundation that was used to build the United Workers' Party is one that is as solid as a rock.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And I want to say to you today that what we have seen over the past few months, over the past few weeks, is a violation of our democracy. And we know very well that where there is no transparency, what do we smell? Corruption. What do we smell? Corruption. We smell corruption. And there are lots of questions that we have, and we need answers to. We ask the question, why was there so much haste? Why were they so much in a hurry to sell or to get rid of state assets? Why? And at a much cheaper price? Why? We also ask the question, who stands to benefit from the sale of lands? Who stands to benefit? Is it the person whose name is on the deed? I don't think so. I don't think so. And we are right. We are supposed to ask the question, because just imagine if it were the United Workers' Party that had sold this parcel of land, by now, where would Labour be? On the streets. They would have taken the streets. And we need to let them know that we see corruption when we see it. When we smell it, we are able to talk about it, and we are going to spell it out. We are going to point it out to them, and we will not remain silent. The Labour Party gives the impression that things are all well and good for St. Lucians. Don't be fooled by that. Because what we have seen over the past week is a semblance of a situation where they are making things worse for us in this country. Look at the farmers. During the election campaign, they promised the farmers that they had already secured a market for them. Kotea. They have made it worse for the farmers. You know what has happened? Most of the farmers have left their farms. They have abandoned their fields. In fact, the fields have been transformed into forest. We have a minister, the minister who's responsible for agriculture. His specialization is in forestry. So we understand. Our banana farms have been transformed into forest. And yet, the Prime Minister is encouraging St. Lucians to eat more fig, more green fig, and what does he eat? Cheese sticks? How do we say to the farmers who cultivated bananas as their only source of livelihood? How do we say to them that they can put food on the table? How do we assure them that they are going to be able to sell their products? They are going to sell their produce and make some money, to be able to put food on the table for their children. How do we convince them that we are going to get a market for them? But no, again, you fooled the farmers. And you know what, flower warriors, let me tell you, even their own supporters who are farmers, yo ka di mesye me di yon di de, le flambeau tan pou vwa nou te pli me ou sav. They try to silence their own people who are speaking the truth, because they know that under a United Workers' Party administration, farmers are doing much better. They know that. They know it very well. We've also seen an attempt to silence our political leader, our chief in command. When you attack our greatest warrior, our chief in command, you attack every single warrior of us. All of us. And we are going to let you know, the St. Lucia Labour Party, we are letting you know that we will not remain silent. We will speak out. And whether you send lawsuits, whether you try to send us all those lawsuits that will take us to the court, whether you summon us to court or not, we will speak out. We will make our voices heard. We are letting you know that we will not remain silent. And we are standing in solidarity with our chief in command, our political leader. The Labour Party knows too well that this man is what St. Lucia needs to be salvaged from the mess that they are creating. St. Lucia needs a visionary. And Philippe Pierre is no visionary. Philippe Pierre, all he brings to us St. Lucians is embarrassment. Embarrassment. Whether it is done here, regionally, or internationally, embarrassment. The Labour Party cannot take responsibility for any economic growth that has taken place in our country. It is as a result of what the United Workers' Party did. They claimed when they started, when they took office, that there was nothing in the purse. There was nothing, it was empty. And they were not even going to borrow, or they had not borrowed monies in a long time. Why? You know why they didn't borrow? Because there was enough in the purse. There was money in the purse. There was money. There was. So they are fooling you, St. Lucians, into believing that the United Workers' Party left nothing there. That is not true. And so, St. Lucians, this gesture, I call it a gesture, because it is only something that is going to fool some of us. The removal of this 12.5, I think VAT on some building materials. We also ask the question, who's really going to benefit? Where Timale we should plywood, they should plywood, it can really benefit from that? Who will benefit the most? The main contractor. Who is going to benefit? And we have to ask the question. The poor will not be the ones to benefit the most from this. We know that. Ek la ou ka di, yo ka tiye subsidi an le manje, groceries, yo pa di manje, groceries. Ki sa ki groceries? Fanny Fonds di oui, c'est ça tout seul ki groceries? What about the toilet paper? What about the toilet paper? What about the toothpaste? What about the bleach, the soap that you have to buy? You use these things on a daily basis in your home. You will still have to pay more. So you can buy as yon side, you can tiye as one lot side. This is what they fail to tell you. And we need to open our eyes. St. Lucians, we vezye zo. Paske nou sav ki an ba gouvernement le ba St.Lucia and Twaka. We are in trouble. And we cannot allow this government, we cannot allow a St. Lucia Labour Party administration to take us for a ride any longer. We have to let them know that we will no longer tolerate the corruption. We will no longer be so gullible anymore and listen to all the lies, the deceit. This is what they sell to us. And we have to let them know that we have seen the light. We have seen the light. And you need the United Workers' Party to take this country, to transform this country, to ensure the sustaining development of this country, to ensure that this country continues to progress under a United Workers' Party. It will not happen under SLP. We know that. So I want to say to you finally, you attack one warrior, one Flabo warrior, you attack every single one of us. All of us. And we are standing together. We are united. We are proud Flabo warriors. And we are strong. We will continue to rise and show the St. Lucia Labour Party the new face of the United Workers' Party. Thank you.
St. Lucia have heard the resolve of the United Workers' Party. And that resolve says very clearly, Labour, don't mess with Flabo. Because we are a serious party. We have a party with a history of peace. But this war that you've started, like we said earlier, will not end until there's order in the house. And we'll maintain to go to sleep. Don't expect us to ignore anything that you have done. And we will continue to hold you accountable. Yes. Yes. And we'll continue to hold you accountable. And we'll continue to ensure that you turn criminals in government, alcoholics in government, and people who are misfit to believe that because they won elections and became parliamentary representatives, that means that we have to respect them. We cannot respect you. Clean your lives first. Clean your behavior first. And if you want us to respect you, respect us too. Because who power respect you, no power kaba upias respect. And that is how it's going to be. And our Prime Minister in the House. Yes. And so, to continue this solidarity conference that we've had here, I just want to call upon our deputy political leader, Guy Joseph, to say a few words. Yes.
Pleasant good. I stand here and I am proud of our senators today for your demonstration of support for democracy first of all. Because this is not just about Alan Michael Chasney. This is about the democracy of St. Lucia. This is about the institutions that have been put in place by our forefathers. You know, the Labour Party over the years have fought in every way to destroy everything good in this country. We remember the fight against independence. But that is why we have a parliament today, that we can have a presiding officer. And I don't want St. Lucians to forget. Go back and check the track record of Claudius Francis. Now, I have to wonder whether Claudius is afraid for his life, because at one time he was scared. At one time he was scared. And his brother, who was a former police, had to be the one to come out and speak on his behalf. He forgot those days. Now, the plot thickens on this whole saga of this land deal. You know why the plot thickens? The minister himself declared that HUDC had been in existence for more than 40 years and did not have a headquarters. Is that anything new? How long has the government of St. Lucia been in existence? Haven't the government of St. Lucia always rented offices, even if the government of St. Lucia owns buildings? Is that the basis? Now here's the part. You see, when you tell lies, you must always remember the previous lie so that you don't make a mistake. But when you speak the truth, you don't have to worry about, because the truth remains the truth. He said it was to buy an office building for the NHC. Who was the office building purchased from? Isn't it the lawyer of the NHC? So you went and you disposed of a government asset below market value to pay another member of the NHC team for a building.
To bail out.
And today, as I speak to you, repairs are going on, and they are spending another almost $2 million on the building that was purchased for $1.8 million. So the money they purchased the building is not even enough to repair and pay for the building that they got. So you are telling me that the leader of the opposition does not have a right to question the transactions that have been done? And Claudius, you want people to respect you because you hold an office. We can respect the office, but we cannot respect the person who holds the office, because you are doing injustice to every other speaker who has served in the Parliament of St. Lucia. You are disgraced. For the first time in the history of St. Lucia, a speaker has been taken to court and lost his case. Now, in any right-thinking society and country, a right-thinking prime minister and a prime minister of integrity would have said, on the basis of bringing the parliament into disrepute, we are asking you kindly to tender your resignation. But you see, there's no integrity with the Labour Party government. Now, I heard my colleague Spider indicate that is 16 of them, but I have said and I maintain is 17 of them against 2 in the parliament. Every time I watch the parliament, the Attorney General is sitting behind Philip J. Pierre. When we were in parliament, if we wanted the Attorney General to explain something, special leave was asked of the Speaker, and he would come from the chair on the side of the chamber, and he would come and just give a brief explanation. Today we have a Prime Minister who said he was the best equipped person to be Prime Minister. Well, St.Lucia fini. If you are the best equipped, and that is what you can deliver, You have 2 bodyguards on your side, and you're still doing so much nonsense in the Parliament of St. Lucia. And I want the other parliamentarians to come to terms with the reality of what is happening there. When they were in opposition, they cried foul many times. I saw somebody circulating on social media. You saw the debacle that took place with Mrs. Husbands when she was, with Mrs. Matron, when she was the Speaker of the House. You saw, no matter how many times she asked Philip J. Pierre to sit, it was not his turn to make the contribution, and he refused. They did everything. Nobody tried to detain them. Nobody told them that they could not leave. Now, power is something that has the ability to corrupt people. And I believe that Claudius has been corrupted by the power that he holds as Speaker of the House. There's no other explanation. And I said it, and I will say it again. All of a sudden you become judge. You could not pass to be a lawyer, but you skip a whole ladder and you become a judge. And who made you judge in the Parliament of St. Lucia? I mean, we have become the laughing stock of the region. People are looking at us and ask, what kind of mad people live in this country? You have a prime minister who's clueless. He says St. Lucia is in Europe. Can you imagine primary school children in Barbados laughing at our prime minister? Primary school children in St. Lucia saying this man doesn't know what he's talking about. That is our prime minister. A country that produced 2 Nobel laureates. And that is what we have to contend with, because the people who went and voted on election day voted for a bunch of jokers. And I need to say here, Richard Frederick, you can give every explanation. And I will continue down the line that Mr. Montut went. The board of the NHC. I am so happy the government put in a special prosecutor. And I am so happy that this United Workers' Party, when it was in office, passed a law that anybody in government who has done anything corrupt or illegal, there are no statutes of limitations. So it could be 20 years from now, you will answer. Mikey Pilgrim, if you're still alive, you will answer. Because I don't know your age now, and I know we have a time limit here. So I don't know if you may be there 20 years from now. But you, Mikey Pilgrim, you will answer. John Peters, you will answer. And I will say, I know for a fact that there are members on the NHC board who are there illegally because they were never nominated through the cabinet process, and there's no cabinet conclusion that makes them a member of the NHC board. It's a rogue government we have run in this country. Now they can go and make a cabinet conclusion after the fact because they have heard me say it. They can try and fix up the papers as best as they want. And as I stand here, I am one of those who believe that the land was sold for the $3.5 million. The question that remains, where is the other 800,000? And I am asking the government, was the land sold for a real estate agent? And if it was sold for a real estate agent, did the real estate agent get the $800,000 for the sale? These are legitimate questions that the media need to be asking. Because it's not by accident the reporter said $3.5 million. The media reporter, who when the interview was done, It was carried out everywhere. You see, there's a lot that has gone down with the sale of this land. And the leader of the opposition has every reason to cite this as being corrupt. And let me tell you, insider trading is considered corruption. I want to know. I will use the round figure of 180,000 people in this country. How many other persons other than Rendo's daughter knew that this land was for sale? And if she is in Dominica, how did she get to know? And all of us who are in St. Lucia, nobody knew that the land was for sale. I also want to ask, was SLASPA instructed not to buy the land? And if they were instructed not to buy the land, who instructed them not to buy the land? You see, I've said it and I will say it again. This is much bigger than most of us think that it is. For you to sell an asset like this in the harbor, it is part of the Castries harbor. The French and the British fought 14 times for possession of this country, and one of the prime targets of St. Lucia was the harbor, the Deepwater harbor. Today it is being sold. Now I can tell you, rumor has it that it is being fronted. The buyer is a front. I am saying it's a rumor, I cannot substantiate it. But in time I will come with documents to back up what I'm saying. For now it's a rumor. But later on we will know, because this investigation has just started. You see what Claudius has done there? Claudius think he was attacking the United Workers' Party. He was going to silence us. But he has now given us the desire to go all out and to deal with this matter. And St. Lucians, I want us to understand. You may think that we are defending Alan Chasney, and if I have to defend Alan Chasney, I will defend him. But I know Alan Chasney can defend himself. I know my political leader is a man who can stand his own grounds. And he has made all of us proud in the parliament. 17 men afraid of one man. And he is outnumbering them. He is one and they are 17 and he is outnumbering them. First of all, they cut the debate. You remember the previous debate? They cut it short to prevent him from speaking. Secondly, they want to dictate to him when he should speak, when the standing orders are clear. They can limit. You see, it's not how much a man says, you know. It is what a man says. And whether Alan speaks for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 hour and 15 minutes, he says more than all 17 of them put together in what they say in the Parliament of St. Lucia. And everyone in St. Lucia, including Labour Party supporters, are more interested in what Alan Chasney has to say than what the Labour Party has to say. So don't be surprised that they are trying to silence Alan. They are trying to silence our political leader, because his message is resonating more with the population than the entire Parliament of St. Lucia, Labour Party. So you need to know that. And we are going to create forums like this. This is not the UWP of the past convention. This is the UWP of the present. We have a chairman, we have a team, we have deputy leaders, and we are going to take the fight to the St. Lucia Labour Party. I thank you.